Oh, folks, we're breaking in. You're on a special edition of the John Fredericks Media Network across the country. Great to have you with us. Well, enough of politics today. We're going to break into Rob Carson for a couple of minutes across our network nationally and go to sports. And when you go to sports, well, you go to West Virginia University. That is the number one. Coming up in a live interview, we have athletic director of West Virginia University, Wren Baker, done an outstanding job. One of the most transformational younger ADs in the nation at a Power 4 school is going to be coming up momentarily. Got a lot to talk about. Got NAL, got the new NCAA rules. You've got West Virginia, what they're doing, their great baseball season, and everything else coming up. Just had 5 players drafted for baseball, another one signed as an undrafted free agent. 6 players going to play professional baseball out of the WVU Mountaineers. So look, we got to break in with this because it's really hot. Anyway, it's good to have you all with us, as always. Hey, this special segment is brought to you by our great friend, Rocky Simmons at Ask Vision Homes. Got to go to Vision Homes for all your home needs. One of the greatest fans of West Virginia University athletic history. This guy goes to all the away games. He goes to all the girls' basketball games. Great guy for over 30 years. Vision Homes has built hundreds of custom homes right in the Morgantown and surrounding areas. You know, their expert team, they're going to design and build you a brand new custom home that fits your needs, fits your style, and fits your budget. Plus, you get tending, loving care by Rocky and his whole team. His mom works there, so it's got to be good. His kids work there. Best of all, they lock in your price before they start to build, so you stay on budget, guaranteed. That's the Rocky way. No land, don't worry. Vision Homes can help you with that too. So whether you're a first-time home buyer looking to upgrade and build your dream home, or looking to downsize and simplify your living space, ask Vision Homes. Invest just 1 hour with them, and you walk away just awed by what they do. And they'll answer any questions that you have. Visit askvisionhomes.com, askvisionhomes.com, and see how simple it is to build a house you'll be proud of to call home. So cool. Joining me now, Wren Baker, athletic director, West Virginia University. Wren, great to have you with us.
Well, it's good to be joining you, and it's a beautiful day here in Morgantown. So I'm looking at all these temperatures across the country, and it sure is nice these West Virginia summers.
Well, I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. It's been about 100 for the last several days, so it's been quite hot. A couple of things I want to start with. First of all, we want to thank you, Wren Baker, on behalf of WV Torch and WV Sports Nation, our website, and all of our 9 radio stations. We want to thank you, Wren Baker, and West Virginia University administration, athletics, for awarding us as your flagship broadcast stations over the next 12 months. We appreciate the confidence and the trust that you have in us and our relationship with your team and your fans. So for that, Wren, thank you.
Well, we're excited to be back on board for a year, and certainly the passion that your family stations has for our programs is a factor, and so we're excited that we're signed up to go.
Wren, I want to start with baseball, and then we're going to get to the finances, which is the big talk right now. But what an unbelievable baseball season first-year head coach Steve Saban's had with the Mountaineers, getting to the Super Regionals for the second consecutive time. But then, what this whole thing is about for a lot of our players is, are they going to get a chance to play professional baseball, professional basketball? We've had 2 people drafted there, WNBA and NBA, and 5 players drafted. One other one, Jack Costone, signed as an undrafted free agent, getting to the Super Regionals, first-year coach. You guys kind of stepped out of the box with that. Seems like it's working out, Wren.
Yeah. So, when that was all going down, I'm not normally a huge fan of kind of coach and waiting transitions. I know that works in the executive world sometimes to have a succession plan. But generally, my experience has been it just puts a lot of tension on relationships and on the program when you do that in the college world. And I feel like if somebody is good enough that you want to consider them, you can do that in real time and have an open search. But in this case, Coach Mazey and Coach Sabins had worked so well together, and we had a very defined transition timeline. It wasn't an open-ended kind of timeline. And so as we went through and assessed that situation, become very comfortable that the best way for us to continue the momentum that Randy Mazey had built in our program was to have a succession plan and spend a lot of time over a period of 24 hours or so with Steve boy, Coach Sabins has done a great job. It's a great first year, and the program continued to build on its momentum, and we're really excited about the future. The young men, the program had a great year, Mountaineer Nation continues to show that they'll support a program that's winning and doing things the right way. And so our crowds continue to build, we've had record crowds, I think 3 straight years here in terms of our average attendance. And so people are ready for us to start to expand the stadium. I'm kind of like, hey, let's prove this is sustainable and first before we do that. But certainly there's been a lot of energy and a lot of excitement around the baseball program.
There's no doubt, Wren, and a very successful season. Steve Sabins went in the portal, got a whole bunch of new players. Obviously, it's a different game now with the transition going on. Wren Baker with us. This is a special edition of the John Fredericks Media Network. Wren Baker, the athletic director of West Virginia University, has got a lot on his plate. Wren, in an AD luncheon 6 months ago, when it appeared that this new NCAA ruling was likely to go through, and it was likely to be capped at $22 million for each university to be able to maximum pay their players. This is exogenous of NIL. 6 months ago, you had a $10 million gap. You said that publicly in the meeting. You said, I got 12 million. I need 22 million. I got 6 months. A lot of us never thought you'd get there to be able to be competitive in the Big 12. But the last time we talked, you said you were about there. How close are you, and how did you raise $10 million in 6 months?
Well, we're going to be at the full cap. And I think it's just a product of everybody understanding in this state and at our institution how important our athletic programs really are. Not just a branding institution, because everybody knows that athletics is a big brand for every campus. But you've been around this state enough to know, like, we are the preeminent, most visible asset the state has. And so it's important for a lot of reasons that Mountaineer athletics is competitive and successful. In just talking through that with everybody, it really was kind of everybody coming together and doing their part and trying to ensure that we had the resource that we need. So a lot of that money, we've increased revenue streams. We've got a couple of naming rights deals that we're working on. We've made some changes in the way that we do some ticketing and donation levels, which has driven some revenue. We also instituted a small athletic fee. We haven't had one of those before, but a lot of institutions do. But we were one of the few that had really no athletic fee and still didn't charge students for tickets. And so that was part of it. The foundation is helping us some. We got some donors stepping up and helping us. And so it really was, let's not try to overburden anybody, but let's all come together understanding how important it is at this moment in time. And so we were able to do it, and I'm really grateful to everybody who's had a part in helping us do it, and excited about where it puts our programs heading into this new era.
Well, I'm in Washington, D.C. today, and you're probably aware of this through your network with the other ADs. There is legislation right now making its way through Congress, getting sponsors to make it unlawful to charge an athletic fee to students. So I'm not sure that they have a majority right now, but the last time I talked to somebody on it, that bill was making its way through Congress. If that passes, I doubt it's going to get through the Senate, but if it does, how would that impact your financial situation?
Well, it would have an impact for sure, but it would impact a lot of people, right? Like, so our athletic fee, I think, is going to generate about $4 to $5 million a year. There are institutions that get $30 to $40 million a year from athletic fees, and so I suspect that the senators and the Congress men and women will hear from their delegation on the impact that would have. It wouldn't be ideal for us, but I think we would be able to solve that probably easier than some people will because we just haven't been as dependent on those fees. But the reality is, and sometimes this happens. I mentioned earlier the importance of athletics in branding institutions, and in our case, the state. Some type of investment from campus is important if you really want to continue to have that athletic success and continue to have it across all sports. And so whether that's coming in the form of a student fee or some other area of campus, it probably is indirectly going to, ends up finding its way into the cost of delivering the overall experience. And I've said this publicly before. I understand that athletics isn't the most important thing that happens on a campus by a stretch, but experiences, extracurricular, co-curricular experiences in general are, in my opinion, vital to campus life and campus experience. When I think about my time in college, I had some great professors. I learned a lot, but if you were to give me any of the final exams for my classes my senior year, I don't know if I could pass them today. But what I did take away is what I learned about myself through those experiences. And I grew as a person, I grew as a human, I developed a network of friends and resources. I learned how to be on my own and get through things in life. If all we wanted to do was teach what's in the books, then we could Zoom like you and I are right now, get the greatest biochemistry professor in the world, and they could teach 1 million people simultaneously. College is about what you find in the books, but I think it's probably as much or more about what you find in yourself. And so those broad-based co-curricular and extracurricular experiences are a part of it. And so I would just encourage, anybody who's looking at diminishing any of those experiences to really think about that as they make those decisions.
Wren Baker with us, athletic director, West Virginia University Mountaineers. Wren, you've got this $22 million. That's the maximum. So you can pay that out. It also went to full scholarships. That's going to cost you some money. So like, for instance, baseball can now give full scholarships. So you got this $22 million and nobody can go over that. So that evens the playing field on paper for paying players. But then you've got this NIL, which is still the Wild West because there's no real rules around it. There was a $600 rule that some committee is going to review certain deals. I mean, that thing is, I just got to be honest. That's like ridiculous. It's untenable. You can't do it. Who's to say if, Rocky, who is just our sponsor, wants to pay somebody $5,000 to, go out and do a Vision Homes on a Sunday? Who's to say how that's marketable? So the NIL piece is where all the extra money is coming in. Obviously, the bigger colleges, Ohio State, et cetera, raise a lot more of that. How do you compete there, and how do you see that working?
Yeah, so here's probably the best way I would explain it. If Rocky built a house and that house's value was $200,000, but you were a realtor and you were in control of someone else's purchase price, you said, "Hey, Rocky, I'm gonna, even though it's a $200,000 house, I'll give you $400,000, and we're gonna do some type of share of this money on the back end." That's kind of, in some ways, the NIL system that we have right now. There's a lot of unscrupulous players who are benefiting, and it's also not real market-driven, market-based NIL. It's a pay-for-play scheme, and so to be eligible for the CFP postseason, which all sports are important, but let's be clear, CFP, the college football playoff, is by far the most important thing that people are trying to compete in. To be eligible, you're going to have to agree to abide by the settlement and by the rules of the settlement and by College Sports Commission's rules, which is a new outside LLC that will enforce these. And in that case, with the example that you used, that deal would be sent to Deloitte has an AI-based clearinghouse. You put the details of the deal in, it gets you an answer back very quickly, unless there's an issue, and then it takes a little longer. Most of those deals are going through, 80, 90% of them are. And then from there, you would be able to do the deal. Now, if a student athlete goes ahead and does the deal and it did not pass, then the delta, the difference between those, would count against your cap. And if you exceed your cap, then you jeopardize your eligibility for CFP. And so that is how the basic system is supposed to work. And it's going to take a commitment from everybody in the ecosystem of college athletics to abide by that and to make it work. Because, John, the reality is what we have is unsustainable. You take Kentucky, who's in the SEC, they're right near us in a state that borders us. Ohio State in a state that borders us. Both of them have over $200 million budgets. To put that in perspective, ours was about $110 million this year. So they're over 2 times of our budget, and they both threw over $30 million deficits. This unregulated environment, and people that say, well, let the market dictate, they don't understand that college athletics really isn't a market, because there's no ownership. There's nobody really responsible for the bottom line. Technically, if we have a deficit, I can be in trouble for that, but I'm influenced heavily by a board, by donors, by politicians, by all these powerful people that say, just win, baby. And so Ohio State, who had a $30 million deficit, they won the national championship. And so, I don't know that their donors care, but who's going to pay for that? And that is unsustainable. That's just going to continue to grow, and eventually it'll collapse Olympic sports. It'll cause opportunities to decline, and that burden gets pushed back on the student body, which you and I already talked about. So for a variety of reasons, I think it's important that everybody understands that when they're talking about, does this work? Will it work? Well, I think we have a responsibility to try to make it work.
John Fredericks Media Network special edition, across the country. Wren Baker, athletic director, West Virginia University. New time in our life for NCAA athletics. So here's a question that I've been asking several people. I can't get an answer, so I'm going to ask you directly. So you got a player, any team, let's stick with the Mountaineers. He's getting paid now to play football. He's getting paid. He gets a paycheck. So he's an employee of West Virginia University. So he's getting paid, gets NIL money also. So we talked about that. What happens if the athlete's grades tank and they no longer meet the NCAA standards, but he's an employee getting paid at offensive tackle? What I think Ohio State or somebody, I can't think of the school, signed somebody out of high school for $5.1 million. He's 18, offensive tackle. What if you have somebody you're paying and they don't go to class and their GPA's a 1 and they don't meet NCAA standards, but you still got to pay them to play football? What happens?
Well, it's really up to the individual school, because you're doing those revenue share agreements. And I do want to point out that these agreements do not sign them up as an employment status. Basically, it's a revenue share, and their share of the revenue is in exchange for their NIL value that is helping create that revenue. So if they are not eligible, it's reasonable to take the approach that for whatever reason, a behavior issue or a grade issue, it's reasonable to take the approach that their NIL value has declined significantly. And so everybody has a little different agreement. There's no template that's used all across the country. But our agreements at WVU, and I suspect most, definitely have the ability to adjust that agreement, provided that a student athlete doesn't meet the standards to perform out there, because a lot of their NIL value would be tied to their status as a student athlete.
So to be sure we understand this, the $22 million cap is for the revenue share per Division I school. $22 million is the cap. You can go under that. Certainly Marshall can't pay out $22 million, or other D1 schools that are not there. WVU is going to be able to do that. That's the cap. But then is there any limit on NIL money over that?
There's no limit on it, so long as that it's from a public forward-facing business. You actually have goods and services, not that collective model where you pull donor money just to disguise it to pay for play. If you're an actual business, Rocky sells homes. We'll just keep using Rocky. He's a sponsor of yours, a sponsor of ours, a great fan. So Rocky sells homes. If he thinks that having an athlete endorse his home business is of an advantage to him, or he's having an open house and having an athlete there signing autographs creates traffic, send that deal into the clearinghouse. Rocky could do that 1 time, 10 times, 100 times. There is no limit to that, but each deal is evaluated to make sure it meets an appropriate range of compensation. For the activity that the student athlete has. But those deals, it will be important trying to help promote and create those deals and making sure all the businesses in your state and your area know that that's going to be a differentiator in the future, because there's not a cap on those. It's just, does each individual deal meet the market test?
Let's get to football season coming up. You had to make a tough decision after last season in changing coaches. Nobody really expected you'd bring iconic coach Rich Rodriguez back to West Virginia University. He has created a tremendous amount of buzz. He's got a whole new team. I think 3 or 4 returning players. Everybody else is new. He's a very spirited coach. He's very enthusiastic. He's great on camera. We can't wait for his coaches show every Monday between 6 and 8 carried on our network. That was a really bold decision you made to bring Rodriguez back. How's that? How do you think that for you is working out now?
Well, right now it's working out great because he hadn't lost a game, and our ticket sales are the best they've been since 2013 at this time. So it's been a perfect decision up to now. But here is the reality. I probably didn't go into that search thinking we're gonna get the band back together here. I'm really not one who bases decisions on sentiment and certainly on short-term feelings, knowing that I'll be the one long-term who has to answer for decisions. But we did a very exhaustive search. We talked to more people than we typically have on searches. In fact, I would say almost twice as many as we normally do in each round. Because the decision was a really important one for our institution at this point in time, and we got to the end of that search, and I was confident, and the rest of our committee was, and it's a committee of highly capable, very thoughtful athletic administrators, but I was very confident that Coach Rodriguez was the best coach to lead us at this point in time, and so that's ultimately why we hired him. The nostalgia of it all, and we've been wearing a matte blue helmet. And when he was here before, we had a glossy helmet. And so, like, the excitement fans have for changing helmets and that kind of stuff, that's all great, because all of that, during the dog days of summer, that's getting impressions, it's getting our message out, it's selling tickets, it's building enthusiasm and excitement. But ultimately, we got to go out on the field and win it. It's going to be an interesting year. He has 74, I believe, new players.
Yep.
So that if that's not the record, it's dang close to the all-time record for roster turnover. So I think that leads to speculation of how you're going to be. I've seen us picked anywhere from 7th, 8th, all the way down to last in a 16-team league. And so I think that just shows that people really don't know what to expect. Last year, Arizona State was picked last and won the league and went to the CFP and played, I believe it was Texas, very close. And so, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm for where we're at right now. But ultimately, the decision to hire Coach Rodriguez back was because he was the best candidate for the job based on the work that he had done here before, but also subsequently since at Arizona, which is not an easy place to win. He had some great teams, and then what he was doing at Jacksonville State, and that's a place when you talk about roster turnover, the Group of Five really has a lot of roster turnover because those of us in the autonomy conferences spend all year scouting their roster and then trying to poach their players. And so I think he's really done a really terrific job. He's hit the ground running. He's working really hard.
What do you think of the expanded college football playoff? Are you in favor of that or keeping it the way it is?
I could live with 12 or 16. I don't love the multiple AQ model, especially with two leagues eating up half the field. I just feel like you can't predetermine those spots like that. If we did that for the NCAA tournament and we did it 5-10 years ago, SEC basketball would have not gotten hardly any AQs, and yet the last year or two they've been right there. Them and the Big 12 is the best two leagues in college basketball, and so I just don't think you can predetermine that that far in advance. I don't think it's a fair way to do it. I don't think that's what America wants. I don't think that's what college sports has been about or is about. And so, in my mind, whether it's 12 or 16, my opinion is it should be 5 AQs and select the rest of the field fairly based on agreed upon standards and metrics and selection committee that's in place. To use those tools and rubrics, and let's take the best teams into the field beyond those 5 AQs. But I always think access is better than not having access. So if it was up to me, I'd do 16, and it'd be 5 plus 11. But if it's 12 and we're 5 plus 7, that's fine too. I just think that the multiple AQs, if everybody doesn't have the same AQs, is not a system that makes sense.
And define for our audience that's not familiar with AQ.
Okay, yeah. So I sometimes do that. I forget that I live in this world every day, but it's automatic qualifier. So when you select teams for the postseason, just like in men's basketball, each conference gets an AQ, an automatic qualifier, and they determine how they're going to designate that automatic qualifier. So I think there's 35 or so conferences in college basketball. So that's 35 teams in your 68-team field. The other 33 spots are considered at-larges. And so that's where the committee will spend time deciding those at-larges. And then they take the AQs and the at-larges and they seed the field. And so that's the difference between the AQs and the at-large spots.
Makes sense. And so that everybody understands that. A couple other things, because we're eating up a lot of your time. I know you have to go. But as you look ahead, if you were asked to give one recommendation to the NCAA in the one thing they could do better with this whole revenue sharing, NIL, pay-to-play system, what would it be, Wren Baker?
Well, it's not just to the NCAA, it's to everybody who has any kind of control over college sports, and that is that we have to find a mechanism that regulates this, because unregulated industry of any kind is totally unsustainable. And none of the pro leagues have unrestricted free agency at all times like we do. Most of the pro leagues do have a salary cap. And so the people out there who would just say, well, just let the market dictate, do not have a clear understanding of the way that college athletics works and what the damage, the collateral damage that could occur on down the road if we don't have some kind of regulations in place. So it's on all of us, if we care about broad-based intercollegiate athletics, if we care about the experiences on campus, it's all of our responsibility to try to create a system that's fair to the student athletes. And I'm not one who's against collective bargaining. I'd be willing to do that if we have an opportunity to do it, but it's fair to the student athletes and also sustainable.
Wren Baker, I'm in Washington, D.C. This is the land of rumors, as you know, and we fight them off on our show and our network multiple times a day. There's all kinds out there that people start on social media, whatever. So there is a rumor. I just got to address it, and then we'll go. There is a rumor that you might be a candidate for the athletics director position at Oklahoma University. Your family's from Oklahoma. You still have family in Oklahoma. You went to school there, and that is, it's an SEC school. Big opening, takes you back home. So there's a school of thought that says, yeah, Wren Baker's going to get an offer and might go to Oklahoma. Any truth at all to that rumor? Hate to put you on the spot, but
yeah, no. Here's what I would say to that. there's no truth to any of the speculation or rumors at this point. Like, that's just people drawing lines. And I think this is the fourth or fifth time since I've been here that people had me out the door, and not one time have I taken an interview or even had a conversation with anybody about another job. We love living here. It's a great place to live. I love the outdoors. The summers here are incredible. And more importantly, I have a wife and two daughters, and they're very happy here. And so, you never say never, because you don't know what the future holds. And I'm always, trust me, I'm aware what the average athletic director tenure is. It's about 6 years. So, sometimes you're like a preacher. The congregation's ready to hear the message from somebody else. There's no truth to any of that speculation. We love it here. I usually don't address any specific institutions, because I don't feel like it shouldn't be my responsibility to put out fires that other people are starting. And sometimes when you start doing that, it's just like when you comment on a coach's status if they're having a rough season. Well, then when you don't, people read too much into it. So right. I just always try to keep doing my job like I do it every day, and let people who want to speculate. But I think what I can say here, and can look anybody in the face and say it, is I love being here, and I feel like it's a privilege to be in this program, to represent this university, and more importantly, to represent our state. I'm an unapologetic champion for everything West Virginia, tourism, living here. It's a great place. And I think it's important as a leader to be where your feet are and to stay focused on what's important. And what's important right now is leading us through this transition, and to be a resource for our student athletes and coaches.
Well, great answer. I appreciate your authenticity. We don't trade in rumors at all. So you can follow all of WV Athletics on our website, wvsportsnation.com. Go there, bookmark it, wvsportsnation.com. We've got 8 young writers. We love hiring young writers. A couple of them are students at West Virginia University, wvsportsnation.com. So we got rid of 2 rumors today on the show. The first rumor we got rid of just now is Wren Baker, no plans to go to Oklahoma. That's a hoax. And the other hoax is the Epstein files, total hoax, nothing to do with athletics. But we got rid of 2 hoaxes here in one day. Life is good. Wren Baker, thanks for being with us. Don't forget, follow us, wvsportsnation.com, and all of West Virginia athletics on WV The Torch and our 9 radio affiliates. And don't forget the Mountaineer Minute every day, 12 o'clock. On our West Virginia radio network. Go to wvthetorch.com for all of our stations, and wvsportsnation.com. Wren Baker, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Let's go Mountaineers.
Back to regular programming and Rob Carson right now.